Pastor, let's be honest. Aren't the Christian hymns of the past so much better than the praise songs of today? Now, I want to drag you into what some people have called the worship wars. What's better for Christians to do? The old traditional hymns and songs and liturgies, or the new stuff that we hear on Christian radio? But maybe you wrestle with this. Maybe your church wrestles with this. Maybe your family is divided by this. If you're a lover of traditional hymns, you might be frustrated and say, come on. These old hymns had so much rich theology. They were they weren't about us and how we feel and our reaction. They were about God and his glory and what he did through his son. And I turn on the radio and sometimes I hear these songs just about me and how I feel and what I've been through. It's like man-centered instead of God-centered. It's so repetitive. Some people mockingly call some Christian music 7-11 songs. Have you heard that? There's 7 words and you repeat it 11 times and then the song is over. Now, I don't necessarily share these views, but I'm going to address this question. When we put those side by side and we just honestly step back, can we say that the old classic hymns are better than the new? Well, let me share a bit of my story. I grew up in a church that used some really beautiful Christ-centered classic hymns. My worship life was really shaped for probably the first 15, if not 25 years by good hymnody, good Christian hymns. In fact, if you would ask me what's my favorite Christian song ever, it is an old hymn called Stricken, Smitten, and Afflicted. I can't imagine that being the title of a Christian song on the radio these days. And I could still tell you my favorite stanza of that hymn. If you think of sin but lightly, nor suppose its evil great, here at the cross you can esteem it rightly. Here your guilt may estimate. Mark the sacrifice appointed. See who bears the awful load. 'Tis the Christ, the Lord's anointed, Son of Man and Son of God. Oh, come on, how good is that? If you're not serious about sin, if you think of it lightly, here, look at the cross. Remember who it is. This is the Son of God. This is the Lord's anointed, and he has to bleed and suffer for the things that we think are so small and normal, and I'm only human. Man, that hymn, it has stuck with me for years. It has convicted me of the seriousness of my sin, and it's reminded me of the deep love of Jesus. I love meaty hymns, something with so much substance and depth that you think about it and ponder it and appreciate it, that it stands the test of time. I have a total appreciation for those who love the beauty of hymns. And I love so much of contemporary Christian music. It's just something about the way that it's written. Sometimes its repetitiveness is its blessing. Have you heard the old saying that repetition is the mother of learning? Sometimes my heart needs a deep theological lesson, and sometimes it just needs a simple reminder of God's love or his goodness, and I just needed that repeated until my heart actually believes it. I've been moved by so much contemporary Christian music that I love both. There's no worship war in my heart. I see the benefit, the pros and the cons of each approach. So we want to be careful that we don't idolize either kind of music. We don't want to be critical of brothers and sisters in the faith. We don't want to accuse traditional people that they're just going through these old motions. And we don't want to accuse modern people that they're just consumed by emotion. Those are both dangers to be aware of. But there are great saints of God who appreciate a style of worship that might be different than you. I got my Bible open right now to Psalm 136, and I love how it's almost like a mashup of these two styles. Psalm 136 is 26 verses long, and it goes deep into the history of Israel. Give thanks to the Lord of Lords, to him who does great wonders, who by his understanding made the heavens, who struck down the firstborn of Egypt, who divided the Red Sea asunder, who killed mighty kings, Sihon, king of the Amorites, and Og, king of Bashan. This is deep, deep biblical history. But you know what comes in between all those verses? The repetitive chorus. Verse 1, his love endures forever. Verse 2, his love endures forever. And 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. And all the way through verse 26 repetitive times, Psalm 136 reminds us of this simple but beautiful truth. In a world where everything is temporary, God's love endures forever. So, aren't the hymns of the past better than the present? Some of them, but not all of them. There's some great substance and depth that I hope you can appreciate. And there's some great power in modern, fresh songs. Even its repetitiveness can be a blessing for hearts that need repeated reminders of the grace of God. I hope you can avoid the war, the tension, the debate, the division, and instead come to appreciate every songwriter who's pointed us back to God's word in every generation. Hey, thanks for listening to Taboo Questions with me, Pastor Mike Novotny. You can find even more questions on timeofgrace.org/taboo questions and in my book entitled Taboo, Topics Christians Should Be Talking About But Don't. Just look for the link in the episode notes.